What is happening, everyone? Welcome to GBALL Vision. Tonight we have an exciting video planned for you guys. We are talking about two very ultra popular everyday carry folding knives. First up, we have the Spyderco Smock, the Blade HQ exclusive coming in CPM M4. And then we have the White Mountain Knives exclusive Vosteed RSKaos coming in LMAX steel. Instead of Vosteed going with their very own Trek lock or going with a standard plunge lock, they decided to make their first attempt at a compression style lock. The compression lock that Spyderco is known for. Other companies are able to start doing compression locks. Spyderco doesn't only own the rights to it now. It is able to be done by any company now that wants to attempt it. And I have to be honest, when I heard that Vosteed initially was going to be doing the compression lock in the RSKaos, back then it was called the Mayhem, when I heard that, I thought this knife was going to have issues. I have to be honest. I thought that it would certainly have issues, as they had issues with their plunge locks. They've had some other growing pains as well. But I have to say, guys, I've had a couple of these, and they have been absolutely fantastic. Not a single issue. And they are very similar in design if you're not familiar with the compression lock. And if you have not experienced a compression lock and within a button for disengagement, I highly recommend trying to get your hands on a compression style lock that is disengaged via the button. If you've ever had a Para 3, a PM2, a plethora of other Spyderco's knives, then you have experienced their compression lock. And this is a compression lock, the best kind of the visual that I can give you. So there it is in a nutshell. It's basically a reversed liner lock in the spine instead of on the face. And then you have an included stop pin, which gives you some added strength in there. So what Spyderco originally did was they took that compression lock and basically just added a button to it. That way, instead of having to reach up here on the spine like the Para 3 here that you see, you are able to disengage it via the button. And it is very strong. It is just as strong as the standard compression lock is. It is no different other than you have the button there for disengagement, which makes this a different feeling knife. If this knife were to have this button for disengagement, it would feel completely different. I have to believe that. And the Smock would feel completely different if it had the exposed compression lock. But guys, I've said before that Kaiser perfected the crossbar lock. Benchmade may have created it. And in this case, I've had enough time with both of these knives, especially the Smock. I'm almost getting to the point where I'm feeling like Spyderco created the compression lock, disengaged via the button here, but I have to say that Vosteed has really perfected it, and I don't know exactly what the difference is, but it is, they were able to make the opening method of this knife so much stronger and better feeling than the Smock does. And they were able to make it so that it was able to close so much easier. Now, I know that you can remove, there is 2 detent balls within the Smock. I have opted to keep both of them in. I didn't really like the way that it felt without the second one. It just kind of felt very loosey-goosey, and it didn't feel right to me. So other people have different and varying opinions on that second detent ball. The knife was created with it, and I just felt like, you know, it should stay in there. This knife initially comes with G10 handles. I put some Tetris titanium scales from Raylight on here last year. And then I put a deep carry MXG titanium clip on here. So this knife in its standard form comes with G10 handles and then the Spyderco standard pocket clip. In the Kaos's original form, you're getting all titanium handle, titanium backspacer, titanium button, and a titanium pocket clip, along with an anodized aluminum pivot collar. If you ask me, I wanted to come to a conclusion at the end of this video as to which knife I prefer. That doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't mean you have to agree with it. But having both of these, I also had 2 other Smocks before this one. I have since sold them. I've had quite a bit of time with the RSKaos. This basically has not left my pocket since the day I unboxed it. And if I didn't carry it that day, as soon as I got home, I picked it right up. So this has been in my hand a lot, and I have been using this knife a lot. It came with an extremely sharp edge right out of the box. It cuts and slices very, very well, as does the Spyderco Smock. But there's a few things that the Smock is lacking, in my opinion. I love the Smock. Do not get me wrong. I love the Spyderco Smock. This is not a USA-made Spyderco. This is a Taiwanese-made Spyderco, and Taiwan does a great job on their Spyderco knives. They do a great job, period. But I have to say that just in design, I prefer the RSKaos with the Wharncliffe blade. Now, they did a sheepsfoot blade, which is basically, it's very, very similar to the knife you see here. It is slightly different, but I have to say I prefer the RSKaos all the way around. The function, the form, everything about the RSKaos, I pretty much prefer over the Spyderco. So we can start with the blade shape. I pretty much prefer this straight edge coming to a nice tip over a knife with a rounded belly going to a tip. Now, I do really love this blade shape, but I like this one just a little bit more. Going back to the choil area, I prefer, if it's going to have it, I prefer that full finger choil over this sharpening notch here, this sharpening choil. So, you know, that's a huge deal to me. I like being able to, if it has the choil, I can get right up on that tip and do it very comfortably because of that full finger choil. Now, let's go to the opening methods. You do have a rear flipper tab, and then you have Spyderco's standard hole cutout. And it works very good. It does. But I like and prefer this style of rear flipper, and I also prefer this cutout. It just gives you, there's more room, more purchase in there to get in there and open this thing up. The rear flipper tab, in my opinion, although this is up higher than the pivot, and this is basically equal to, I can still get so much more on the Vosteed than I can the Spyderco. I think it's just a matter of the design. Now, I do like the neutral handle of the Spyderco Smock, but it is very thin as far as its width, and it's not that thick of a knife either. And there are definitely times where I would prefer something thin and very streamlined as the Smock is. But as far as something I want to carry and use often, I want this is definitely heavier as well, or at least it feels a little bit heavier. You also, instead of open construction, you get this nice backspacer included in here. And you guys know I love my backspacers. That just gives some added comfort. It also does add a little bit of weight, but it is weight that I will take any day, every day, over not having no backspacer. Even if it's, you know, still comfortable, the backspacer makes it that much more comfortable. And I have to say, I prefer this handle over this handle. There's just, it's just a goofy handle. Not that I haven't found ways to get around it, but it's a goofy handle. And like I said, I love the Smock, but because of this even more neutral grip with this flare going out here, it just fits in my hand so much better if we're just talking about the handles themselves. My hand fits so much better, so much more comfortable on the Kaos. And if you add in that finger choil there, it is basically game over. In my opinion, this thing is so much more comfortable than the Smock is. And like I said, I love the Smock. Let's move to the action of the knife, the ability for this to open and close very easily. How does it feel? I have to say that the RSKaos just feels better. I don't know if I will be able to demonstrate how easy it is, but it is so smooth and so easy, and it feels so good. Even on the close, they did an excellent job on this knife, guys. An excellent job. I even can wind up on the reverse flick. As far as the Smock, when you push that button in, it is a controlled close, but it's very, I don't know, it's not as good. I have to say, it's not as good, and it just doesn't feel as good either. There's no blade play. There's no up and down, side to side. This blade just closes so much better. And I have carried the snot out of my Smock. It is broken in, very well. And if I give it a little something, it will close. If I just give it a little bit of force, forward, it will close for the most part. But I literally don't have to do anything with the Kaos. It closes. It does a fantastic job. They did a great job on this knife. If you haven't experienced it, I highly recommend going and picking yourself up one. If you can't get this knife, I also still highly recommend the Smock. They are a breed of their own. There's nothing quite like these two knives, in my opinion. Now, I have had the Smock for a couple years at this point. I've only had the RSKaos for a few weeks. So only time will tell how this knife holds up and how it continues to do. But in my early stages of having this knife, and like I said, I have used this Kaos since I unboxed it several weeks ago. And after having so many knives, after using so many knives, I get a pretty good feel for how does the knife carry, how does it cut, how does it handle, all that sort of thing. Only time will tell, how the edge continues to hold up and the blade, the corrosion resistance, the toughness, that's over the course of time do we learn those sorts of things. Now, I can say that the M4 from Spyderco is definitely ultra tough. It is very good stuff. M4 is a great steel. Typically on the scale of toughness, let's just say, M4 is like a 6.5 out of 10. On edge retention, it's like a 6 out of 10. Corrosion resistance, it's only a 4 out of 10. So you do have to be careful with the M4 as far as corrosion resistance goes. Now with the LMAX, we're talking about a 4 on the toughness out of 10, 5.5 on the edge retention, and then we're talking an 8 on the corrosion resistance factor. So if you ask me, I will take the LMAX as well over the M4 depending on use case. All around, I think the LMAX is going to be a better suited steel. A 4 out of 10 on the toughness is still pretty damn good. They both are very similar in their edge retention. LMAX is a 5.5. The M4 is a 6. They're very, very similar, guys. The corrosion resistance for LMAX is off the charts. That means I don't have to worry about anything happening to this knife as far as rusting issues, pitting issues, for the most part, right? With M4, it might be very tough stuff, but if it's all rusted and pitted and, you know, all messed up, it's only going to be so long, you know, if we're talking in long-term scenarios. So for me, for the most part, the LMAX for me is more suited. I love M4. M4 is a good steel, but over the course of time, LMAX has really worked its way up into the top of my favorite steels. Yeah, the toughness is a little lacking, but, you know, it's tougher than 440. It's tougher than BD1N. It's tougher than M390 20CV. Those are only a 3.5 out of 10, where the LMAX is a 4. It's tougher than M398, N690. I mean, you know, S110, so S90. So LMAX is definitely tough enough. It's pretty damn tough. And then you add that in with good edge retention and very good corrosion resistance. I think that makes for a pretty damn good EDC knife steel. And so does M4. It really does. We're just kind of, you know, I'm trying to make my point that the LMAX Vosteed RSKaos, I am taking that all day, every day, 9 times out of 10 over the Smock. It would be very rare instances that I'm going to pick the Smock up and choose it over the RSKaos. You'll have to let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Do you still take the Smock over the Kaos? Do you have no idea because you've never handled either of these? Have you only had the Smock? Have you only had the Kaos? Let me know down below which one you think is the better choice. Like I said, only time will tell with the RSKaos. I believe it will hold up and do very well into the future, as it has since I have unboxed the knife. Like I said, let me know down in the comments. Hit the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. I would love to have you part of the G-Baller family. Otherwise, guys, I will catch you on the next one.